It's a Lisa Stansfield day on Manchester's Kickin' Ass Sunset 102. It's Mike Shaft. It should be the dream team, I might add, but thank you very much indeed to Duncan and Steve, or Patrick and whoever. They'll be along a little bit later on. I'm staying here for the time being with my very special guest, Lisa Stansfield. Perhaps, I have to say this, perhaps the most moving moment of my life, right, was on the 22nd of October 1989 when Sunset Radio was launched. Now, those of you who were around Manchester then will remember it. But for those of you who weren't, this is how Sunset started.
Sunset, the only one you need. We shine the sunset light all day long and all through the night. When you need a friend, you know we'll always be bringing the city together, so together. 'Cause we're keeping the dream alive. Sunset
came Marvin Gaye's Abraham, Martin and John, etc. And the rest, as they say, is history. Can I wish you a very, very warm welcome and say what a pleasure it is to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
Honestly, I didn't think I'd finally get you, you know.
It's quite strange listening to that after all that time.
I know. Gosh. Listen, let's talk a little bit about that. It was really strange because when you're setting up a radio station, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who makes jingles sends you their demo tape and so on and so forth. And they all came in, people from America, people who could record stuff here with American singers, record stuff in America with American singers. And I says, I don't want any of that. I want Lisa to do it. But of course, I had no way of getting hold of you in those days. So I went to see the jingles producer, all right, whose name escapes me now, and I do apologise, over in Stockport.
Is it Martin Abbott?
Martin, I think you might be right there. At what's loosely called Yellow 2, I think, for want of a better name. And we're sitting there talking about the jingles and what he's going to do for us. And he says, who do you want to sing? We can find a couple of singers. I says, well, the only person I want to sing is Lisa. He says, well, I mean, there's no way you're going to get Lisa now. She's got a new single out and all this sort of stuff. And you're never going to believe this. If you see this sort of thing in films, you think, that's made up, right? The girl from Strawberry Studios, which is just about 2 minutes away from Yellow 2, came over to Yellow 2 because their fax machine had run out of fax paper. So she came across to borrow a roll of fax paper from Yellow 2. And we got to talking, and she says, Lisa's in our studio across the road.
Oh, and you came over, didn't you?
And I came over. I thought, God, thank you. And I said to Lisa, look, how do you fancy singing our jingles? Because I'm a bit forward like that. And you said, well, I can't do it because it's a pirate radio station, isn't it? Do you remember saying that?
No, I can't,
and I
said,
I said, no, it's not a pirate, Lisa. It's a real radio station. We've got permission from the government and all that. And you did it. I mean, thank you. And unfortunately, on the day that we were supposed to record it, I couldn't be there because I had chicken pox. Honestly. Anyway, how was that day?
It was a long day because there was a lot to do, but I really enjoyed it because usually, you know, I used to do a lot of jingles before it all happened, it all took off. And a lot of them are quite boring and quite staid. So I had a really good day.
Yeah.
It was like let rip for once.
That's
you
right.
know.
Well, we were determined when we set up this station that it wasn't just going to be, you know, another typical jingle package.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted stuff that was going to say something.
Sunset Radio.
I've got them all in front of me. I might sneak the odd one in a little bit later on. Listen, I must apologise to the Dream Team, by the way, because the Dream Team have a standard first question that they ask. And seeing as I'm doing their show, I have to ask you this. This is the standard Dream Team first question. Is Lisa Stansfield your real name?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, right. Well, that answers that then.
Lisa Jane Stansfield.
Oh, Lisa Jane. Oh, isn't that
Sweet,
lovely?
isn't it?
Listen, there was a story in the paper just recently about you going back to your old school and sort of saying, huh, told you I would. Did they really, the people at school, tell you that you would never make it?
There was a careers officer who told me I was being silly. You know, I said, I want to be a singer. You know, I can sing and that's what I want to do. She said, well, there is a good position opening, sort of secretarial work and all this sort of thing. I said, I don't want to do that. I said, if I have to go on the dole or whatever, you know, that's what I'll do, and I know that I'll end up doing something like that. And she sort of laughed at me. But I haven't seen her since.
Oh, dear. Honestly.
But I don't think I'd be nasty to her.
No, of course you wouldn't, because you're not like that. But why do people always, if you want to do something out of the ordinary, right, why is it that people always try and say, no, forget it, you know, you can't do that, it'll never happen?
Well, I just think, you know, at the end of the day, you've got to have faith in yourself. You can't rely on other people to sort of tell you that you can do it. You've got to tell yourself that you can do it.
So, there you are at school saying, you know, I'm going to be the world's greatest singer. Like you do. What was the first inkling you had that you were going to do it? Because you had various sort of bits of careers, didn't you, singing musically?
I think really I decided to make a career out of it when I was about 10, really.
Really?
You know, it was that early. And I suppose when I was about 14, I really knew that something was going to happen.
And when did you get your first record release?
Oh, I would have been about 16 then, so it'd be 10 years ago.
And it was a very commercial type of music, wasn't it, you were doing in those days?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought, well, I've got to get in somehow. The stuff that I was doing wasn't that good, and it wasn't really the sort of stuff that I was into. I just went along with it, basically, because I thought I could get my foot in the door that way.
And you, of course, won, as they never fail to mention to us every time they write a story about you, the Manchester Evening News Search for a Star.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It's 12 years ago.
Yeah. How did you come to be in that? What made you enter that, and what was it like when you actually won it?
It was a brilliant feeling when you've actually won. Apparently, as well, you know Sean Ryder.
She's got a glint in her eye here.
You know Sean Ryder from the Happy Mondays?
Yeah.
Well, his dad was in the same competition. And I came first and he came third, and he was really annoyed about it. Said some 14-year-old girl won it.
Oh, are you kidding? Put you down because of your age. That's terrible. Good morning, Sean and his dad. So you won that. And as I said, at that point in time, you were making some fairly commercial records on... If my memory serves me right, you were recording for Polydor at that time.
Yeah, I was.
I've got some of those somewhere, but we won't embarrass you by playing them, because I do have everything you've ever released. Now, the first time that Lisa came to my attention doing, you know, what I call serious music now was when this single came out of America. Tell me a little bit about this and Blue Zone.
We were recording in a little demo studio, and me, Ian and Andy had just got together, and we'd written 3 songs, and the finest thing was the one that was sort of finished first, the first demo that was finished. And someone that we knew sort of ran along to Piccadilly and said, I'm going to get it on the Mike Shaft show. And we said, oh no, he'll never play that. And you did.
I'm afraid I did. It was me. It was me to blame.
And we were like jumping up and down saying, oh, he likes us, you know, he's got faith in us.
Well, I'm afraid I always have had. So let's take a listen to that track from all those years ago. The first real music from Lisa Stansfield. sound of Blue Zone and Finest Thing, released on the Arista record label. So there you are, Lisa, having been played on the Mike Shaft show on Piccadilly, having arrived. What happened to Finest Thing by Blue Zone?
Well, it sort of disappeared into obscurity, really. It was released as a single, but it didn't really do that much. But I think that sort of gave us an opportunity to sort of get ourselves known as Blue Zone. And, you know, we got a lot of respect for that, the stuff that we did then.
Where did you do your musical training, for want of a better word? I know you say that at 10 you were convinced you wanted to be a pop star, for want of a better word. Who were the people you were listening to at that point in time that made you think, I can do that?
Well, I think really it was a lot of sort of stuff that I heard on the radio really that caught my ear, because I never bought records. You know, it's just something that stuck in my mind. But I suppose at that time I was listening to sort of, you know, the Sound of Philadelphia, the OJs, Barry White, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I loved all that.
Barry White, now there's a name. What is this record you've got out with Barry White?
Well, it wasn't supposed to be a record, actually. It was just supposed to be a sort of segment of a documentary that we did. And we went out to LA and sort of sang together in this club and filmed it for the documentary. And it turned out so well, you know, sort of sound-wise, that we put it on the B-side of the latest single.
What is it like for a girl from Rochdale, which isn't exactly the centre of the world, I might add, to be rubbing shoulders with all these superstars? I mean, what do you feel when you're out in front of 70,000 people, plus an estimated billion people watching the Freddie Mercury thing on Monday?
That was quite strange, actually. I mean, I've done one concert like that before. I did the Maracana Stadium in Brazil, in Rio. And that was even more. That was like 110,000. It's a very strange feeling, because when you actually get onto the stage, your nerves just completely disappear. And I think it's your body sort of saying, well, I really cannot cope with this. And your brain tells your body that it's all right, and you completely relax. And it was just brilliant to sort of meet all those people as well. Yeah.
But could you in your wildest dreams have ever assumed, you know, one day I'm going to make a record with Barry White, I'm going to be on stage in front of 70,000 people, I'm going to have a #1 all over the world?
No, I mean, we always thought that it'd be big, but not as big as it's got.
Now,
quite a shock.
You say we, and I'm very upset, and wait till I see him, that Mr. Devaney. Where is he? Where is he this morning?
He's working hard. Very hard, yeah.
What's he working on?
He's working on some tracks that Dionne Warwick did with us.
Yes, I heard about this, and we'll come back to Dionne Warwick being in Rochdale the other day. Now, he is...
I made Dionne Warwick a cup of tea.
Well, Steve Quirk has just gone around saying, I made Lisa Stansfield a cup of coffee. But that's another story. Ian and Andy, the team behind Lisa Stansfield, shall we say. How did you all get together? Because I can remember you guys from the very, very early days working together.
Well, me and Ian were at school together. I would have been about 14 when I met Ian. And Andy knew Ian from sort of bands and stuff like that. And the first time we ever actually played together was in a school play. And I was playing one of the lead parts, and Ian played in the band, and we got Andy in to play trumpet from another school. So that was the first gig we ever did.
First appearance. And what school was that at?
That was Alder Hill.
Alder Hill, the world-famous Alder Hill in Rochdale. Now, the next time that I came into contact with your music was this next piece of music, which I'm going to play now. And I have to say, while the Finest Thing was a nice track, this for me was the arrival of Lisa Stansfield.
This was a real turning point in what we did.
I mean, in Manchester, and I was doing quite a few clubs at that time, this became an anthem, as we say, you know, and it's just the business, to put it mildly.